the fall, and in your mind the clouds have been gathering. You may feel hopeless, but I'll never let you go. Fly through the stratosphere and then I'll rip and scream it from your soul. Oh, we'll watch it fall. Now your clouds are all gone. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't wait our romance. We'll never be the same we are tyrants and we are kings. We own nothing but the right to say what it is that we believe. We are tyrants and we are kings. Nowhere, string me up just to cut me down. Say my name just to spit it out. Does it feel better now? So tell me where did we go wrong along the way? What happened to the purpose? 'Cause it feels worthless.
Hello, all you weebs, and welcome to Grappling with the Week, the show that brings you the hottest wrestling news and the highlights of the steamy kitchen of NXT to the gritty and fast-paced action of AEW. We talk about it all and give you a big discussion piece to truly satisfy the hunger of wrestling content. Brought to you by Animal Week 3 Studios and hosted by your weebs of the ring. Enough of the introductions. Let's stomp on the mud hole in this week. And let's meet the panelists. As myself for this week, Legendary Vash, the backstage stand, aka Sean, is your boy Legendary Vash, the visionary for this episode.
How's it going, everybody? It's your world champion Watkins here, just giving you the lowdown of everything that's gone on throughout the week. And it's been a big week for a lot of news. Mhm.
Yeah, Chad, join into the conversation. Comment below your thoughts about, because this is the main topic that we'll be having is the push in pro wrestling. Who should get pushed? Why should they push? And is your favorite superstar the one that should be getting pushed? Is what deserved compared to others? Like, for example, Jey Uso, one like John mentioned, there's some controversy. People thought why Ham, John Cena, the World Tour, and then we have some obvious. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to clear my throat. I had some type of nepotism in my throat by accident. Some Charlotte Flair, winning out here. So we have some conversation to deep dive and get into. But before we get into our main topic, let's get into our first segment of the show, and it's the greater wrestling of the media. And this segment is to highlight any indie promotion that went on, the news that we want to discuss, interesting documentaries or interviews from this past week. So the one thing that I want us to get into, because if you guys haven't, there's a video that you guys should watch. It is about the 2K25 first look that got made by Watkins. If not, we're going to further dive into the conversation that has came out more news of this past week. So I'm going to give it first to Watkins, who is excited to get the new update, the new version of this game, like everyone gets the new version of Call of Duty, the new sports, the new version of every game that gets cycle every
Mhm.
year.
Oh yeah, no. So this 2K25 is gonna have a lot added into it. So like I'm sure you guys have seen videos and news articles going on about it. So like a lot of new features besides just new rosters and all that. Of course, obviously we're gonna get intergender wrestling back. So like you could do any match type in intergender style. You can even do intergender Royal Rumbles. So that's gonna be fun. I watched a video of Up Up Down Down doing one. They actually had some like Bloodline members in there. Rhea Ripley was in it, obviously. Yeah, so like that's gonna be really fun to kind of mix it up a little bit. I know in like my universe, for example, probably gonna have a show that kind of focuses on intergender. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But like just today, we had a gameplay trailer. I don't know if you guys got to see it. I do have a link in our notes for it if you guys haven't yet. Um, yeah, so some of the backstage segments are now different. You get to fight in the NXT parking lot. The
Everyone's
most
gonna be squaring
dangerous,
up as they should.
It's pretty fun.
yeah, like
Just
the most dangerous place to walk in the world. Like,
if you're
For
not an
anybody that have not seen any pro wrestling when it comes to
Yeah.
WWE product in NXT backstage, I'm sorry, in the
Yeah.
parking lot, you get jump on with no who hit you. You find out weeks later, months later, or in the WWE main roster on SmackDown backstage, you get jumped by people, or it leads to the outside, and then your boss, the CEO that has money in the bank pocket, The Rock will just say that he will smack you against your own buzz, and he will smack you in the rain and get you bleeding. So all these things
Yeah.
is possible.
The only thing I can
road.
really say to comment on that is it seems like the NXT parking lot does fear one person, and that is Stephanie Becker, because she was able to cut, a little promo segment backstage on NXT, which we'll dive into shortly, by the way. But she was able to get out of there scot-free because, just look at her. That's somebody I don't want to fuck with. So it's good that the parking lot
yeah.
decided to not do anything with her.
I
Yeah.
agree in that aspect. One thing I will say about the games, as a person who hasn't played the games consistently over the years, and who's been more of a watcher of watching my friend Drop or Watkins play their, on Discord, on stream, or play. I've seen other content creators play. The game looks more fucking realistic. I feel like I'm watching like almost like the actual real superstars at times.
Yeah.
Like it looks really realistic. The quality looks much better. Like it's just insane of what the games I grew up of. Raw versus SmackDown, the 2008 game, 2009, and all those just 20 something years later now. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for this. Like, I'll probably end up pre-ordering, like, the big bundle. I'll probably put, like, a down payment on it just so I could pay it off little by little, because that's what I did last year. But I'm very excited for the game. It looks realistic, and I tend to like a lot of games like that have that approach, which is why I'm hoping in the near future, if AEW want to do a video game like that, because I'm pretty sure they have the funds to do it. And this isn't me throwing any shade at them, but they should definitely, dive into that department, because it would look pretty cool seeing like Omega and the rest of them doing something like that too. But I like the whole first-person mode, a third-person mode, when you're doing the entrances, because it's kind of similar to how we see the camera on television when we get a lot of these different kinds of angles. Like when you get like the 8K entrances, like you saw with Roman Reigns or Shinsuke Nakamura, when he came out to his old theme, where you like saw him and it just looked so cool from that perspective. I like how we get that with 2K. And I'm wondering with the new production, maybe that's an indicator as to why this is a part of it as well. And we also have, like, new people coming to the game. You got Obafemi.
Yep.
More than likely, in order for them to make their buck, they'll probably put in, like, Julia and Stephanie as, like, DLC. This new partnership with TNA, you never know, down the line, they might put Joe Hendry as, like, a DLC character. I know he talked about it on, he did a podcast recently.
He was with Ariel Hawani, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was with Ariel Hawani. I
Yes.
probably have to
Yeah.
go back and watch it. But I do remember him saying that, it'd be cool if we had something like that down the line, which I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they do something like that,
yeah.
because I feel like if it's in the partnership and you guys are both working together with one another, I don't see why you wouldn't want to make, some good money on DLC with that. And I just like how the whole intergender thing, like one of the things that I've always wanted to do, I always have the tendency to like create Royal Rumbles that has a certain theme around it. Like if it's anime based characters, if it's horror based characters, and a lot of anime characters aren't just male. There's a lot of female ones in there, and with a lot of horror characters, you got some female villains. If you ever watch any horror movies, like you have the girl from like The Ring or anything along the lines of that. So I like how I have that as an option if I want to put Jason, Freddy, the girl from The Ring, all these different horror characters that I grew up watching from the movies in there. I just think it's a really cool concept. And the character models look a lot better. Like I love how Rhea looks in this game. She looks pretty cool. And one of the things I'm hoping they do in the near future, and this is just a me thing, it could be something you guys might have thought of as well. And we don't know for sure if this is going to be an option yet, but this could be something that could happen at a later date. I would love down the line if we're able to make our own entrance songs. That's something I would love to do.
Yeah, I think because I think that was a feature for a game like a while ago. Like you could import your own songs and all that. And
I believe you could have back in the.
Wanted that.
I believe they could back in the PlayStation 2 days, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe I don't know, but yeah. Now there's tons of new features. Hey, women can bleed now in the game. Like that's. I mean. Sorry to be like that person, but hey, now you can actually show some color if you're Rhea Ripley going against Charlotte or something. Like you can finally beat that ass, literally.
Oh yeah, and just to put that out there, guys, I know what you're referencing. It was that King of the Ring. I mean, King and Queen of the Ring. It's that the Queen of the Ring match of Lyra and Nia, and you saw like some blood on Lyra's face. I just want to put that out there, guys. That's an unlockable costume because I know a lot of people were saying online, oh, is this going to be her default costume or anything? No, it's just an outfit for Lyra to put on. Like she's probably gonna come out, I'm not entirely sure what outfit, but that's going to be an optional outfit, just like how you have it for everybody else. So I'm pretty sure she's going to have an outfit. But I do like how they included her wings in her entrance. I think that's really cool because that was something that she did at the NXT TakeOver last year when she went up against Roxanne. So I like how more creative they're getting with the entrances, where they're actually showing something different rather than them just walking out. Like they actually have something that makes the wrestlers stand out. So when you see them, you're like, okay, that's Roman, that's Lyra, that's Becky, etc., so on. I also like how Becky doesn't have bacon hair this time either, because last year she had like this bacon hair.
Yeah, it looked really bad. So yeah, I'm glad like some of the hair physics are a little better and all that. The one thing I'm surprised at, but I guess we'll get in like the next couple weeks or so, because there's that new mode called Island Mode, which is apparently some open world part of it where you could do like different challenges or whatever. But
it's open world. I didn't know
we haven't really gotten any information about it yet. So I'm assuming like in the next week or so we'll get something more, and there might be a video on it. Who knows? We'll see when the time comes. If it's something like big and massive, there might be a standalone video for it, but time will tell. But I mean,
and also, I was going to point out also, hey, if a 2K partner wants to listen out there, wants to sponsor us a video and give you a review, like other creators are getting the opportunity, and we just want to branch out. If anybody is there, or ping at 2K, tag us at the handle Weebs with Ring. That will always be helpful. We'd love to play these video games. We have 2 previous 2K players over the past 5-6 years. You guys been playing the WWE games that they've been releasing?
Yeah, I've always played them.
Yeah, pretty much.
You see, so you have 2 people that could be 2K creators for the games.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, again, updated roster. You get to fight in the like this warehouse too, with like all the old stuff, like the SmackDown fist is there, for example. They can.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh my god, it looks amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, now a lot of cool features that we've already covered and all that, but it's just nice to see like an actual update for the game rather than like, oh, here's just the next game with an updated roster. Tee hee hee. So yeah, I'm excited for more news to come out for that.
Awesome. So let's move on to our next news. It's gonna be a short one that I know a lot of people are not gonna, people are complicated online. People like to gossip, as you guys may know. Which is we have Tiffany Stratton responds to Mandy Rose for taking her slogan. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Mandy Rose, she was she was a WWE wrestler back in the day, and now she has a podcast. She has her own content she does, and she went on live by saying that she took a name from Tiffany Stratton 2 weeks ago, saying the line, "Put some respect on my name," and supposedly with the same tone that Mandy Rose said that what she used to do back in the day. And my opinion is very quick, guys. Who cares? You don't have the thing, token, copyright, trademark, and if you ask for it now, just know that WWE went and did it already after you complain. They probably already went, put the token in, and say, "Hey, she's complaining about this. Let's just put it, cut, case closed." To me, it's not a big deal. Many of us, you just want to complain about something. Even Tiffany said, like, "Yo, this is not a big deal." Same tone, like, no, and put some respect on my name. People have said that in different variations throughout pro wrestling and other type of media. So to me, not a big deal. How about you, Drop? Was this a big deal for you, or was it for you like me who didn't care?
No, I didn't really care either because like when I first saw it, like the original clip with Mandy Rose like talking about that, I was a little confused. Like I don't know if she was just playing a character or she actually meant it because it was really hard to I guess understand what she was trying to say because tone, like when you pay attention to the tone on how someone speaks, you could take it in either direction. And in a way, to me, it kind of seemed like she was a little upset about it. I'm not entirely sure why, because again, like you said, it's just a common phrase. It's like you're playing video games and like you say that phrase, "Oh, get on my level," if you like beat someone in like a competitive match or something along the lines of that. It's just one of those things that everybody says. Like you're gonna trademark like hand signals when you're waving hello to somebody. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense to me. And it's like the way that Tiffany handled it was probably the best way, where she's like,
"Oh, she did amazing."
Yeah, where she's like, I don't know why she had to go out and say it like that, but good for her. I wish her the best. Because realistically, it's like
Professional.
What are you trying to get at with that?
Yeah.
And this is like coming from like Mandy's perspective. It's like, what are you trying to get with that? Like, it's not like you're in the WWE and this is going to lead into a storyline. And God forbid, I really hope that's not how you want to develop a storyline over a few words, because that's not something I can sink my teeth into. I'm sorry. Don't ever make that a storyline. Oh, you stole my catchphrase. Let's fight for the WWE Women's Championship. Like, no. But it's just really weird. I didn't understand it. Tiffany handled it in the best way, and for both parties, I mean, I honestly think it's best for them to move on. I mean, it should have never really became a thing to begin with, but I'm glad that Tiffany's being mature about the situation. She has bigger fish to fry, especially when it comes to her year throughout 2025, so this should be the least of her worries.
How about you, Watkins?
Yeah.
Does this grind your gears?
I mean, no, not really. Like, here's the thing. Yeet. There you go. That's my response. Yeet.
So, like he said, yeet. We have, big movie coming out next week, guys. Captain America. I'm about to say Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That's a wrong one.
Maybe it is
Captain America: The fourth one. Why Seth Rollins was pulled from the movie? How do you guys feel about this, knowing the results of the reasoning of why Seth Rollins was pulled from the movie?
It's kind of funny because basically, long story short, Giancarlo was just like, "Hey, I'm free for the movie," and they were like, "Oh, okay. Seth, you're no longer needed. Bye." Like that's the long and short of it. I mean, Vash, you work in production a lot. This is something that's kind of. I feel like this is just something that just kind of happens a lot, and especially with them having to do like reshoots for this movie and all that, and rewrites and everything.
Yeah,
I feel like this is just kind of par for the course in this kind of industry.
The thing that sucks is that Giancarlo Esposito, I can't speak too much on, even though I've signed NDAs and
Mhm.
everything. I've worked with the man. He's a really good person, but he doesn't have the best temper. But I know he's always been a respectful person when I've interacted with him. I don't know how he is
Mhm.
with other actors or in a closed room. But when it comes to as Seth Rollins' predicament of losing his spot because of a bigger actor came available is normal in this industry because sometimes people need to remember when you have a certain character that you're about to adapt live action, you sometimes want the character that you're portraying on screen and gravitate. When it comes to the writers, it sucks to say what I'm about to say. They probably also do not see pro wrestling very serious. They could give the respect of the acting and everything is, but they don't probably understand the cohesive of
Mhm.
what it means to write a script, have a format, go out there, act it, and it takes more than that. A lot of writers and actors probably see as more of an improv or anything like that and see undervalued. So when it came to Seth Rollins, they probably saw the better and known actor of Giancarlo Esposito over Seth Rollins, which is very disappointing because
Mhm.
they are unaware of the maybe possibility of the acting chops that if the certain director or producer or people that work with Seth Rollins can actually take more of that out of what he is on screen, we probably could have gotten a better and bigger role, but we will never see until the next time comes for Seth Rollins. And I feel bad for him. I know he's probably butthurt inside, but he cannot show it to show that he's upset about this opportunity that got lost of him because of Giancarlo Esposito and the casting directors and everything. But that's my
Yeah.
insight as a Seth freaking Rollins fan. That fucking sucks. I would love to see him in this opportunity, but it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole gist with the whole entire thing is I kind of just feel bad because he had to take some time out of wrestling to go and shoot all of this,
Mhm.
which I know is a thing that happens in the industry where you shoot scenes and sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. But I just feel bad that he went there and then nothing really came out of it. So it's just one of those things, kind of like us as content creators, where it's like we put a lot of effort towards something and then it doesn't take off the way we expect it to. So I just really feel
Yeah.
for him in that department. But I feel like he'll be fine at the end of the day. I'm pretty sure he's going to get other opportunities because people in the industry do get other opportunities to go out and do other things. If it's movies, TV shows, even if it's like a little small cameo, or if it's just promoting something in a commercial, I'm pretty sure he'll be fine in the long run. And he's getting he's getting paid really well. He's one of the top stars in the industry. So as
Mhm.
much it as much as it would suck not to see him in the film, because I was actually really looking forward to seeing exactly what he did in this film, just because I'm a huge fan of the guy. I'm pretty sure he'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's come to the debacle. One of the biggest thing that we try to speak about in the most positive way. And look, chat. Me, I'm not just speak from a fan who's been here since 2019 for AEW. Yes, guys, we're talking about the company that was supposed to be the alternative when it comes to WE and the Vince booking and the stuff that was falling short. AEW had a debacle, yes, because you know why? Because Grand Slam for fans that's been fans of AEW since the first premiere. Guess what? We used to have Grand Slam as a pay-per-view or what WWE calls it PLE, and sometime this year it was always planned to be a TV special in a different country in Australia to present to the TV sponsors and everyone out there. And because it was supposed to be also presented because of the NBA playoffs, guys, am I correct? Or kickoff? Playoffs, right? Or kickoff?
It's the play. So Saturday is the NBA All
Oh,
Star
sorry. That's one.
Special.
Yeah.
So it's not the games because apparently the game is Sunday. Apparently this is because Bailey's part of this All Star
Yeah.
lineup thing that
Yeah.
they're doing on Saturday. Like she's participating in all that.
Yeah, so it's an
Um,
All-Star special, but they're supposed to do
yeah,
the rerun of Grand Slam at 10:30 p.m. ST when everyone's
yeah,
probably already falling asleep after basketball. So I'm gonna first give it to Watkins to talk about this, debacle. And as an AW still watcher, because I've fallen off chat, I've been trying to get into it, but at this point, I just watch the highlights, or I hear from Watkins, or I hear from Job, or we watch another content creator about the history. But
yeah.
Watkins, talk to us. Good, bad, and the
Um,
ugly.
oh no, this is complete and utter dog shit. like because you start when you start doing a little bit more digging and start seeing what happened. It's like, okay, they announced the show back in All In, I believe, which was like back in August of last year, of 2024. They're like, hey, AEW is gonna come to Australia. We're gonna pack out this 50,000 plus arena, and it's gonna be a big show. So already you're thinking, oh great, they're doing big event, a big pay-per-view event in Australia. Cool, neat, awesome, fan flipping tastic. Then they don't sell a lot of tickets. Now, from what I've gathered from like just doing the light research I was able to do, Australia seems to be a difficult place for like. I mean, it was even difficult for WWE like last year at Elimination Chamber to sell tickets. They didn't really completely sell out the arena.
If I may also give a quick reminder, because even me and Watkins was laughing about this during the stream, because I remember this chat. We had pirates steal the Elimination Chamber when it was being shipped to them. Even Watkins forgot. Watkins just forgot. He just got triggered like, oh shit, Vash is right. Yes, I am, chat. Because I still laugh about this when in today's era, in 2024, we still got pirates robbing people's ships. That's the insane part. We got the One Piece still going out there in the other parts of the world. So that's a little laugh for any anime fans, where anime and wrestling collide is what our slogan is. So for those, it's just hilarious to know that when it comes to Australia, Tony Khan is like, yeah, we should really do this. Didn't you hear the news that happened in WWE? Like, did nobody, no investors, no writers, nobody told her, like, hey, or Chris Jericho, who is still, traveling and doing cruise things on the ships and having big cast and everyone there. They didn't speak to you, told you, hey, Tony Khan, this might not be a great idea. Why? Because in WWE, when they did their big pay-per-view on PLE, the Elimination Chamber, they got robbed by pirates. They could have even probably not even hosted, is what Michael Cole told the audience, that it maybe could have not happened. I don't think this is a smart idea for us. We should probably host it in a different country. Maybe go to England again, or maybe go back to the U.S. Maybe where we could fit in more seats. But no, we have people spending $4,500 for hotel, flights, and the seats, and seats get rearranged. Is that correct, Watkins? Seats got rearranged.
So, yeah. So like, as we kind of look at what's been going on, like people have spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get tickets for this event, to plan for this event. There are like, there's a thread on Reddit, I think there is, where people are saying like what all they had to spend, and just like it's all this negativity about how they're not going to go to an AEW show if they're in the country or continent again, and all that stuff. Because like people like did a lot just to make it to this event, and at the time, they thought this was going to be like a 4-hour pay-per-view and all that, with like a huge card and all that. They're going to sell 50,000 plus tickets. But like, they started, again, they couldn't sell enough. And it got to a point where they're like, okay, well, we're not going to sell enough to, fill out this arena. So they had to downsize again. And that downsize really affected people, because like people's tickets got changed. Like there are stories about people like they had decent seats, and now they're in a really crap spot in the new location. The tickets are kind of overpriced when you think about it now, because it's like they spent all this money on decent seats, and like their seat might be still decent, but it's not the kind of price for the arena that they're in. And there was even a point too, like this was just like last week or something, like last week or two, they were doing buy one get one free for tickets. Vash's reaction is everything, which means...
I wasn't even aware of that. Like, imagine you be a venue and you sell buy one get one free, like in a store in retail. Chat, that's normal. Buy one get one shirt, buy one get one free socks, buy one get one free sneakers, Jordans, like that. Those are normal in retail. But a venue, no, Chad, they want to profit. Their point is to bring more seats and fill up their seats as maximum as they could. And for a company to do that's insane.
Yeah, no. And so when you put that in perspective, you're like, wait, hold on. If this person spent like $3,000 on their tickets, And now you're telling me that there's buy one get one free. Well, do I get compensated for it? Nah, you already bought that ticket. They already got your money. You're fucked now at that point. And then there's the case of like apparently with the location of the arena now being different, they now have to figure out transportation to the new place. And since it's a little farther than where they were staying, now they have to spend like an Uber because apparently like the public transportation in that area is closed on that day.
They
So-
truly fuck up. Like, this is where
Yeah.
the fans really truly spoke. And I hope Tony Khan truly listen. If not, next thing you're gonna get bankrupt. Not you, my guy, but the pro wrestlers that you hired are gonna get fucked, and it's gonna make you look bad. And I feel bad for one person, Cody Rhodes, because imagine you leaving a company that you helped build. It's like your baby. You may not even look at your baby no more. Or you probably don't even think about it or speak about it online because people will ask you 20 million questions after on a follow-up. But just imagine him returning or him talking to his wife in bed and be like, yo, babe, can't believe these motherfuckers are fucking up this company. Like, I just can't imagine his frustration. Or like private phone calls that are happening behind where he's like, yo, guys, what the fuck you doing? You're like, yo, Tony, don't you see the shit you're doing? Can you get your shit together? Like, I left to build my shit again, but you are fucking the shit up. Like, I feel bad for the young bucks, the people that been there, like Sammy Guerrero. Like, even though he's not getting big because of the stuff that he's been doing in the ring, his hiccups and everything. But the people that's been there since the foundation, I truly feel bad for them because I know they're working and they love the product they're doing. And it's not going the well they're going because the direction of their boss, that is Tony, and the bookings. I truly feel bad. Like, I'm not even mad at them. I feel more the pain for the fans, and I feel pain for the superstars and wrestlers the most. Because as a fan, I want you to succeed. But if you have, Tony, aka Vince 2.0, as a booker, you are failing the ship.
Here's the thing though. Like, say what you want about Vince McMahon. Yes, he is a piece of walking fecal matter. All right, like say what you want about that man, but he at least knew his audience, and correction.
I'm about to say, to some extent.
He didn't know his audience. No, he knew at least the business. He knew about like where he could go. He knew what venues he could sell out, and he knew like how to move around the country, or like even if they went abroad and all that at that point. And even now today, Triple H, like Nick Khan and all them, like they know exactly where they need to go, where they can go, and what they can do. Like, people were giving shit about like WWE with Money in the Bank last year in London. It's like, why are you giving them shit? Because they're actually succeeding in making profit, even though ticket prices on that end is also ridiculous, but that's besides the point.
They're going back to France. It's like fans are excited just to see that audience again. That's what has them like, yes,
they know
please.
The market. Yeah, they know the market. They've done the research on the market, and they know how to market, which brings up the other part of it, is the marketing for it. They had one big, and that is a big quotation of big, event to even promote for freaking Grand Slam. And it was
I didn't even know Grand Slam happened this past week.
I
didn't even know.
It was shortly after All In, and when you look at the the recording from it, there's like maybe 20 people out there, maybe 50. I'll give you 50, maybe 50 people out there for that little like media thing that they did with like Daniel Bryan being out there, and I think Swerve was out there. I don't know. Regardless, it's like, you barely promoted the damn thing. You barely had any matches until like what, 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when they finally were just like, oh wait, shoot, we have a damn pay-per-view. Or excuse me, sorry, not a pay-per-view anymore. It's a fucking TV special now that comes on after basketball. Nobody's gonna watch that after basketball. All those basketball people, they're gonna turn around and be like, what the fuck is Chris Jericho doing on my TV screen? Get out of here. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see no flabby white 50-year-old man on my screen. I'm already watching freaking All-Star Game. I'm gonna go to Either go to
Yeah.
bed or go to the bar. Like, I'm not gonna watch AEW Grand Slam. What are you talking
But
about? And the fact that like there's not even a set time for it either. Like for months they're just like, yeah, check it out on this date. What time is it? Check it out on this date. That was just like, but what time? And then now it's just like it's still not really a set time. It's just like it's after the All-Star game. It's like, okay, well, when does that end? 10:30 ish, keyword ish, and it's just like, okay, cool, but this is gonna be like a 2-hour show, right? Like, again, I know it's a Saturday night, but I'm not gonna be just chilling watching wrestling after basketball, or even if I don't watch basketball, I have better things to do with my life on a Saturday night, unless it's WWE related. Like, oh my gosh, it's so tone deaf, and you're pushing your audience away. You're pushing your fan base away. You're pushing away the people that like are the sickos that spent almost $5,000 to go to your event. You're pushing those people away, and to the point where they're not going to check you out anymore, and they're going to just check out from your product, and it's just drop, you take it over, because it's annoying as hell.
I wanted to share my piece on this.
Yeah, chime in and drop.
Yeah,
we heard the beautiful rant from Watkins, so talk to us.
Yeah. So the whole entire situation is a complete mess, and I'm just going to be straightforward and honest. I'm really hoping this hits them in the back of the head that they really need to switch things up and actually pay attention to what's currently going on. Because the way that you're currently doing the product isn't going anywhere, and viewership shows. It shows when it comes to their regular Dynamites or Collision. It's not gaining any attraction. Like, you should pivot for like what you're doing in the overall product if you want people to get invested, because you got a lot of things to factor in here. Nobody's going to want to tune in to watch any of it if you're not going to really put any effort to actually make a difference. Because I tried giving AEW a shot when I originally found out about it, and I enjoyed it because they were going strong for a good few years when he had Cody and the rest of them over there. And obviously Cody leaving really hurt the company. Punk leaving really hurt the company. And now you see all these other people coming from there that were underutilized, like Ethan Page and the rest of all of them. And in your head, when you look at the whole Grand Slam situation, regardless if that whole thing is a mess, because it is, because fucking over fans, taking away their money, doing this or that. And I don't want to hear, I think Tony Khan came out and said something not that long ago and said that this was originally supposed to be a TV special. That's complete bullshit, because no way in hell you're going to have a stadium show that has like 50,000 people and you're going to call that a TV special and you're going to have it taped. Like, that's not even that's not realistic. That's like WWE going to, that's like WWE going to like Tokyo Dome, and then they're saying, oh, this is going to be a TV special for all of you guys to watch. Like, no, they're going to mark that shit as a PLE, so I don't buy any of that bullshit. Yeah. But it's like,
welcome to Saturday night's main event at the Tokyo Dome. It's like, no, what?
Yeah, but it's like, it's like, why this doesn't make you look at it all when you're doing all this shit. The way that you're treating your fans, the fact that the fans are the reason why the product keeps moving forward when it comes to viewership, when it comes to merch, all these different other things that align with how they want the product to moving forward. Like, it's honestly reminded me of a WCW situation. They started off hot and then they started sinking ship. It's not I'm not the only person that said that. Like, I've seen a lot of people online even say, oh, this is reminding me of WCW all over again. They were trying to be the alternative. They started off hot. They took the eyes off of the WWE product until Vince put his foot down and tried to switch things around. And then that's when things started heading back into their favor. And also, when it comes to the end result of WCW, he ended up buying the thing to get rid of that competition. Not saying that Nick Khan is going to do that with AEW, but it's like they have like an unlimited amount of money. So I can't really say the company's going to burn and crash, and I'm not going to wish that on them at all, because that's not the kind of person I am. But I just don't like how you're treating the fans when it comes to the situation, because if I was in this situation, I would be pissed. I would be wanting my money to come back. And the fact that you're getting like I buy one, get one free, almost like how Triple H was, almost like how CM Punk was clowning. on WWE a couple years ago when he was in that feud with CM Punk, buy one get one free extravaganza. That's essentially what this is. You're getting a buy one get one free, where it's like, okay, you get this ticket and then you get another ticket, just so you're selling out whatever you're trying to sell out there. Like, obviously things need to switch around, and they really need to start kicking into gears, because if you're going to continue doing this bullshit moving forward, the way that you're handling the overall product and the way that you're handling Grand Slam, nothing's going to get better. People need to stop
not at all
looking at it where it's like, well, they're still doing good, they're still putting on good matches. Like, that's not the fucking point.
Yeah.
If you want this company to continue to grow, you need to head down the right direction. You need to make the right decisions. Having great matches all the time and having people constantly get excited over it online isn't going to help the company in the long run, because they give birth to great matches and nobody's taking it away with them. Because, you know, I like watching great wrestling matches too, but it's like they can't just rely on that to draw people in when they're trying to build a card for Wednesday or Saturday or whatever pay-per-view that they have. Like, this should be a reminder in their head with how they're treating the fans that they need to really switch things around, because this isn't fair for any person.
No, it's not at all. And it just, there should be an alternative. And right now, AEW, you're dropping the ball hard. Like, and it's baffling, really, just what they've become just in the past 2 years. So,
But
that's
I think
my piece on it all. So,
look, we spoke about many pieces when it comes to the AEW product, when it comes to good, bad, and ugly. We're going to speak about more how they were in Dynamite this past week, and we're going to speak about it more in the coming months and future when it comes to the show. So no worries. We will always talk about the good, mostly maybe bad, but hopefully we can have them improve.
We're honest on here.
Yes, we are. But you know what we could be honest about? If we are excited for Money in the Bank PLE International location has been maybe discussed. It is for maybe London, maybe the possibility where Mr. John Cena promoted last year that we could come back for. How you guys feeling about the international? For me, I'm okay with it. As long as we get it on the Netflix app and it doesn't buffer. No, sorry, Peacock, where it doesn't buffer like it did for this past week on Monday Night Raw, where it was like a static of glitching.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily if they're gonna do London again, because they just did that last year, I believe. So it's like, I feel like they're probably gonna hold off on that because they don't want to keep repeating it. But I mean, but it's good that they're having the PLE and an international location. We don't know exactly where that is yet. That's up to them to tell us in the upcoming months. And we're in February now, so we have a long time until July. But I mean, it's definitely great, because it's always good to see how the community is over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they could go back to like Germany, they could go to Scotland again. I don't think they've done a PLE in Italy yet, so there's somewhere they could go. Like, hell, just rent out the Roman Coliseum for Money in the Bank. Do it, Triple H. Do it, you coward. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, speculate. Hell, go to Russia. Go to Russia and do a show. That'd be sick. You know? Oh my gosh. Imagine if they did like a show in Japan. Like, I know there's a lot of like hoops they would have to go through in order to get that done.
Yeah.
But that would be crazy. Like, maybe a show like Money in the Bank could be good at for a Japanese crowd.
It would be, and also you don't have.
I don't want to speak on them.
You won't have to speak to too many cross promotions when it comes to Money in the Bank. When it comes to having a lot of people flying, because you already have your six people, and a few other talents just do a few matches. I feel like that's easy, but who knows what type of loopholes or things they have to jump through the hoops for. But question about the next use, would you guys want to save that for NXT, or since it's kind of related to the current show, probably has lead into?
Yeah, that's more of an NXT thing.
Cool. All right. So
yeah, just
put
it over there, because that'll probably be the main talking point. talk about.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love that. So I'm gonna take this word that our lovely Walkers has come up with since last year. I'm gonna bring it up. Let's enter our injury corner. Who do we got in our injury corner? We got 3 people. We got Dakota Kai on the cusp of returning back from her concussion that she got a week ago, and we have Jade Cargill, maybe small updates, and we got Tyler Bate returning back soon. So this is as we have our update from our injury corner, and I'm gonna give it first to Walkers, who I use your slogan of.
How dare you? Yeah, no, I'm excited for Dakota Kai to come back. Hopefully, Jade Cargill has recovered from being car killed, and Tyler Bate, I can't wait for you to cook. I can't wait for you to cook. Hopefully, it's cooking with Pete Dunne in a few banger matches. Like,
Yes.
let's revisit that shit.
I'm excited. I'm excited that Dakota's coming back soon. I was hoping it was going to be like not that long because she just came back. She was starting off good, so hopefully we can get back on the road with her with whatever they had planned. And when it comes to Jade Cargill, I feel like, if I'm being honest, I feel like the main reason why they're holding off, I feel like she's not injured or anything. They're just playing into the story. But I feel like they're probably trying to wait until it gets a little closer to WrestleMania so they can play into that whole story that goes along with Bianca and Naomi. Because
I see that.
that this is telling me even more that this whole this whole Bianca versus Rhea thing isn't happening at WrestleMania, because you got to factor this whole entire thing. And if that was going to be played out, you would have done a little something on Rumble. Jade didn't show up. I feel like whatever happens with the tag title situations, which I feel like Jade will more than likely factor into that when they lose the tag titles, that's when you're going to start off the feud and head into WrestleMania. And then Tyler Bate, I mean, if I'm being honest, I feel like we got the setup on Monday when it came to Penta getting attacked by Dunn and Kaiser. I feel like Tyler Bate's probably going to be helping out Penta. He's going to be his backup man, helping him in that feud, because it doesn't really make sense to have Tyler Bate come back and then he's going to be a heel along with Pete Dunne and Kaiser, because there's no leeway into that. And I feel like if you're going to give somebody some kind of backup, it would make sense if it is Tyler Bate. Pete Dunne and him have history, but it would also be nice, again, to have Tyler Bate alongside Penta, because Penta has been doing pretty good on the main roster so far.
Oh, yeah, he's been cooking.
I agree on that note. It's really on the, like, you guys hit on the nail. Tyler Bate is one I'm excited the most for, because I don't know why, but something about it when he hit the ropes and it always hits on his neck and he sometimes like flips back. It's always fucking fire to see that. He's just like, it's just always like, wow, it's just so cool. Like that one little 10-second thing, like that's amazing. Yeah,
the spatial awareness one needs to have in order to pull that off is insane. Like that's such a tight space, like behind your neck and like right
and plus timing it right. Like and plus timing it right, always like he practices that. So I'm excited to see that drop and what you guys hit on the nail with the thoughts on him coming back and having a feud with Penta and I'm blanking his name, Pete Dunne. So that's what I'm excited for. Hopefully he could Butch. Butch. That's something could work still. Butch. I'm here for that. So I'm okay with him doing his thing. Jade Cargill, I agree with drop. They're waiting for WrestleMania season. Hopefully they don't wait too long and the build is speed up too fast where people complain like, oh, the build was too fast. There's a bit longer. I'm like, I'm never going to be happy about something. Like, waiting for this build to happen. Kept asking when she's going to return. And now we finally got it. Like, there's always time. There's always going to be flaws in anything that gets tried to be written for long term. So I'm excited to see where it leads to.
They're structuring it right now because I have a good idea where I know it's heading. So I'm not really that worried because it does make sense in the long run for them to wait a little bit longer when it comes to at least sometime this month. Yeah, it just depends on the next execution for how, because April's around the corner. That's literally less than 8 weeks from now. So we literally have WrestleMania where they have to start cooking a feud by March 1st to lead up to the next 4 or 5 weeks until they have their match. So we just gotta see where that leads to. And with Dakota Kai, girl, please stay consistent. That's all I gotta say.
Just watch out for those missile drop kicks.
Mhm.
But one thing that we got, a girl that did come back during the Royal Rumble, I know Watkins was happy at camper. He saw his girl Alexa Bliss, and the reports at that weekend was saying that she's going to be joining Monday Night Raw for Netflix. But guess what, chat? Those reports were wrong. Maybe got switched. Maybe it was always a plan. But maybe she might be joining the Wyatt Sickles. Could be the Wyatt Six, maybe becoming and reuniting as one. Could it be? But I'd rather ask the panelists. We have Alexa Bliss returning for Friday Night SmackDown. We may see her tomorrow on our Friday night coverage where we may talk about that more. So, chat, let us know if you're excited about Alexa Bliss return for SmackDown. Are you guys curious for the joining group of the Wyatt Six? Me, I'm okay with it. It just depends on execution. I wasn't here during her time as the golf crazy chick when it comes to the Funhouse and the whole White Six stuff. I wasn't here for it. So if it does happen, depends on the new turn. Is she the leader? Who knows? But I don't have much to say other than that. How about you, Watkins? Because I know you was really excited about this.
Yeah, I think she'll do well with the SmackDown roster, which I mean, man, the SmackDown women's roster is kind of stacked now that I think about it. But I think she'll do really well over there. Whether she's, she joins the Wyatt Six, maybe her and, I know I've said my thing about, having the Wyatt Six go after titles and all that, but her and Nikki Cross have been tag team champions in the past, so if they do end up teaming up, there's something right there. Or if they go against each other, there's plenty of history to kind of play off with that. But there's a really good playground for Alexa to play with over there on SmackDown. She could stick, again, she could do the tag team thing. She could stick in the mid card scene with like Chelsea Green and all that. I think they could play off each other really well. The main event scene when it comes to the women's title, that might feel a little bloated right now, but she would fit in quite well with them, especially on the mic. Say what you want about her ring work and all that, but she would fit in nicely in the main event scene on the women's division on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm honestly excited to see her return. It was great to see her back because that's another big name you could add to the women's division. And it makes sense for her to be on SmackDown, but like you guys said already, when it came to the whole Wyatt Six involvement, her and Nikki Cross have history that could easily dive into the tag division whenever they're ready, or if Alexa just wants to go off and do her own thing, I'd be okay with that too. If I'm honestly picking for something to do, and I've been very vocal about the whole entire US Championship situation on SmackDown, I wouldn't be against having Alexa have that title. She would definitely elevate it. She would definitely make it feel special. She's good on the mic. One of the things I do like about Alexa is that she adds like a lot of realism to her promos when it comes to really calling out her opponents with their flaws. Like I referenced before we went on air today, her and Charlotte had a feud a couple years ago. And this is when, Alexa was in this dark character. But you still saw that side of Alexa come out whenever she cuts her promos. And the thing I like about her is that she said to Charlotte at one time, what is Charlotte Flair without a title? And Charlotte couldn't really say anything against that, almost like she was cornered in a wall. So it's like, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we have that similar thing with her and Chelsea Green. She calls her out on their flaws. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, you see her and Chelsea Green and get in a situation where she's like, oh, what is Chelsea Green without Piper Niven? Like, is Chelsea Green really capable of being a U.S. champion without defending it by herself? Like, that's just the kind of things that, like, Alexa really hits you in the head with, and she's always great to see on television. I've always been a fan of her, so I'm really happy to see her come back.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Love that. So we spoke about, WrestleMania a couple of times here, right tonight, guys? So what's a big plan? Because we know Jey Uso's going after somebody. We don't know who will be the next opponent to wrestle the next champion because we're going to find out in Elimination Chamber. But there's some feuds that started cooking this past Royal Rumble. We have the possibility for the report of a triple threat of Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, versus the visionary Seth freaking Rollins, versus the best in the world, CM Punk, is rumored for WrestleMania 41. I want to first ask Drop, How did you feel about this report? Are you excited to see a triple threat, or would you rather see a Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, or Roman Reigns versus a Seth freaking Rollins, or this triple threat right now? You're interested?
So I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt because there's been a lot of reports coming out recently. Like nobody predicted Jey Uso to win the Rumble. It was a big shock. So it's like
Hmm.
heading into that event, you saw a lot of people saying Punk, Cena, Roman, Seth, etc., so on. So when it comes to this season, I'm gonna take things with a grain of salt because I get the whole
Yeah.
idea behind the match. It's a big name, and you could easily play out what happened at the Royal Rumble to lead into this match. But I don't necessarily think I really want to see this at WrestleMania. If it makes sense and they play it off right and they could get me invested in it, I'll be okay with it. But as of right now, I don't personally want to see it, only because I kind of feel like you should just play into Roman and Seth at Mania. Because when you had that
Hmm.
whole debacle happen at Royal Rumble, it was more of a Roman and Seth thing than it was Punk. Sure, Punk got in a little scruffle with Seth. He does that all the time. I mean, you see Drew
Yeah.
McIntyre head into the Royal Rumble. He was beating the shit out of Punk right away when he saw him. But they made
Yeah.
it pretty apparent that Seth Rollins was really on the radar when it came to really putting out Roman Reigns in that moment. So you would feel like if Roman ever gets an opportunity to strike back at Seth Rollins, it would be them. And I would personally love that to be a match at WrestleMania. There's a lot of history there, and you could do something special with that. And when it comes to
Hmm.
CM Punk, kind of feels like he's just thrown in there, if you think about it, because it's like you got the Elimination Chamber coming up. Why would you even have something like this put out? Because it's like, oh, so you're going to spoiler
Yeah.
who's CM Punk's not going to win. He's not going to go to WrestleMania to challenge Cody Rhodes or Gunther. So it's kind of like, it just feels like one of those things where it's like, okay, we know things are really going on between Roman and Seth. Not saying there's stuff not going on with Punk and Roman and Punk and Seth, but it kind of feels like you're just throwing a whole bunch of people in there just to make a card for WrestleMania. So if it was up to me, I mean, I would just have Roman and Seth if they want to go through with that, and I would just have Punk do something with Cody. I mean, I was sold on that thing that they had on Monday. A lot of history that they could dive between their early years, stuff with AEW, allude to that or whatever, saying how they were the biggest draws in that company, or etc. So on. Just pretty much just bragging rights at that point. But I'm not
Yeah.
completely sold on it right away. Like to me, like I said, if it makes sense and you give me like some good build up there, I'll be okay with it. But let's just go straight to the point. I feel like it's kind of lazy.
How about you, Walkers?
Yeah.
Is this lazy to you?
I mean, I see that there could be I mean, I see that there is a story here, like Drop was saying, like
Yeah.
how there's a lot of intertwining, issues going on, but I kind of agree that the main issue is between Roman and Seth, and that kind of needs to be squashed at
Yeah.
at a big show like WrestleMania and all that. So it's like we could have this triple threat, but like I think my thing with it is like yeah, the story's there, like all that stuff is there, but like the only thing that's missing is the stakes. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you have the stake of bragging rights. I beat both of you. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you have that. That is a good stake. Again, these guys have big egos and all that, and at the end of the day, it's all about who's better and all that. But like, you could throw a stake in there, be like, all right, you know what? All three of you are top guys. Number one contenders match. Like,
Yeah. You
you
got
could
to throw
easily do
something
it
in
like
there.
that way. You know, because it's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, it could be, whoever wins faces Cody or
A backlash or
whoever at
something.
like the next event.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly. So like,
the next event is usually backlash. So like whoever
Yeah.
wins here,
yeah,
um, perfect. What you say? Whoever wins
mhm,
here could fight Cody or whoever's champion at the time at backlash, and whoever loses cannot go after the opponent for the next 3 months or something. Like it needs to have some
Yeah.
stakes.
Yeah. I need some sort
yeah,
of like a stipulation on it because if it's just a plain triple threat match, if this is indeed the plan, I don't really know if I can get behind that. Like you gotta
yeah.
you gotta make
So
it
like,
interesting. Can't just be okay, just a triple threat. Like no, you gotta do a little
yeah,
something with that.
yeah. Just do a little bit more, But again, taking it with a grain of salt until like we see where things go with it.
So, like we said, take a grain of salt, and you know what you should take a big stab burn to Death Rebel. We have a big update on Death Rebel. You know why I said take a big saw or like stab to it, because not many people are happy within the company of WE with their sound, with the music. Like, for example, I'm going to name some examples. We have Sheamus with the Death Row version. We have AJ Styles of saying, "You don't want none." Or we have Bailey of Role Model. So, they have spoken about it of this past Royal Rumble. If anybody saw, I believe the cards that they have. And Bailey said, "Yay, Death Rebel." And Big E, shows that the talents are not too excited about it. And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Watkins, I know you hate Death Rebel as well, right? As a fan and a critic.
Oh, with a fiery passion, I hate them. Like, okay, there are some things that are they're fine. Like American Alpha comes to mind. Or excuse me, Alpha Academy. I tolerate their song. Like, I think it's fine and all that. But then you get things like AJ Styles' new theme, which thank God he went back to his old one at the Rumble. I am so happy about that. But I mean, just speaking of the Rumble, I mean, just look about a year ago. I mean, we mentioned it here on the show where it's like Seth Rollins was sitting up there in the skybox being like, "Wait, who is that music? Whose is that?"
He didn't even know who it was.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you can go back even during like the PG era and like listen to somebody's theme music and be like, "Oh, yeah, I know who's coming out. It's Mickey James coming out." Or, "Oh, okay, this is Kofi Kingston's old SOS theme." Like things like that. It's like the music makes the character and it makes the wrestler and it gets you excited to see them again. Like that's why back in the day with like Stone Cold, for example, you hear the glass shatter, you immediately know it's Stone Cold. You hear like on AEW, you hear that coin drop, you immediately know that it's Okada coming out. Like it's simple things like that instead of being like, "You don't want none," or "Shh, it's Chelsea Green." It's like, okay, that makes sense with in terms of the character and all that stuff, but it's like you got to do more than just like their phrase. You got to make the song interesting. You got to like let us be excited for them to come out.
That's my biggest
sucks.
issue. That's my biggest issue with it. I hate how they start off the fucking songs where like they say who they are. Like the whole point about a theme song is you hear like Edge's theme, it's Edge. You hear Cody's theme, it's Cody. You hear Roman's theme, it's Roman. Because with those themes, you don't have things saying, "I'm the tribal chief, American Nightmare, it's me, Edge." Yeah. Like, you don't hear any of that shit. So it's like, you hear that one snippet of a theme song, that's how you really get behind it. It just seems like very kiddish, where it's like, you gotta remind people who this person is that's coming out because you gotta say their name. It's not one of those things where it's like, okay, we hear the music going out, vocals or no vocals, and you'll know who it is straight off the bat. It just seems like it's very lazy, because a lot of people even come out online and they're like, "Oh, this sounds like it's AI generated," which I wouldn't even put it past them, because that's kind of how it sounds like.
Yeah.
And it seems like, for the most part, there is some favoritism when it comes to Def Rebel that I have noticed. Like, I'm not including Cody in this conversation because Cody owns his song, but I'm talking about like other people on there. Like they put a lot of love to the Joshies, the Joshi wrestlers like Asuka, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Julia. Their songs like never miss. They take really good care of them, and the people involved in the bloodline, they took good care of them, and then all of the main eventers, they take good care of them. But if it's like anybody else, it's like this really weird theme song.
PFC.
Yeah, so it's like, you're not going to expect Matt Cardona to come back one day to WWE and then he's going to have like some crazy Def Rebel mix. Like, no, he owns the right to his song. Nah. That's a part of the package when he comes back. Like, you should like understand, it's like you have the talent complaining, saying they don't like it. I even heard things where it's like they don't even meet with the talent, kind of like how Jim Johnson did all those years ago. I remember a story where like he met Randy Orton and he got a good idea of how he wanted Randy Orton's presentation to be on television. And he
I was
actually
gonna
took
ask.
time to actually talk with the talent so he could get a good understanding of how he wants them to be portrayed on television with their themes. Def Rebel doesn't meet any of these
Yeah.
people at all, and they just throw a random song at them.
No.
It's almost like they type something, oh, make me a song with circus music and rainbows and unicorns, and then here you go.
So you brought up his name. How do we feel about his newest song from the New Day?
Oh, he's not that wasn't a legit thing. That was just the subtitles on that WWE that just said that, because even Sean Rossap Sean came out and said that was just the fucking subtitle thing. That Jim Johnson.
Oh, so that was not right.
Yeah, if he did come back, that would be all over the internet. People would be talking about it like crazy. That would be like
we'd be having a much different conversation tonight.
Yeah, because that honestly would be one of the titles I would have put on the stream. I would put Jim Johnson return to WWE. That would be one of the 3 titles that I put in the title of the stream if that was a legit thing. And like Jim Johnson coming back to WWE is not like a small thing. Like that's a pretty big name you're getting back, because that guy's known to produce one of the best songs out there. Like I referenced before, Randy Orton even gave a lot of people's favorite girl, AJ Lee, her song too, that a lot of people love. So it's like he had some really good shit back then. But
yeah, and then like you look at some of the ones from I'm probably gonna butcher the name or whatever, but it's like CFO $, or however
they had some good ones
they
too.
were. Like he had like I believe one of his was Glorious from Bobby Roode.
Yep.
Like that thing slapped. That was on my Spotify.
I remember that song.
Like,
that song was very good.
Bailey's old theme. He even did he did Sasha's old theme when like he started out NXT. He did a lot of them, like old school Black and Gold. They did really well with that kind of stuff.
So, Chad, so you hear our thoughts on Def Rebel. We are gonna bring them up again when it comes later to our hot topic, because it relates to how to push a star. Because, like Watkins brought up earlier, that it could elevate them, or maybe it could delegate what they're actually falling short. Because, like Seth Rollins said last year, who are these people? He doesn't know. We don't know. Like PFC, but. This is moving on to our 3rd segment of the show, and as our Turnkbuckle Tidbits. This is a part of the show where we talk about both NXT, AEW Dynamite, or any other indie shows that we've been part of, or anything that we missed from Royal Rumble, anything else. But we have a hot topic tonight, so if you want to hear our full thoughts from Royal Rumble, go check that out this past week. Our episode 112, I believe that was. Episode 113 did the coverage of anything we missed in Monday Night Raw, so go check that out. But for this, we have Dynamite. The first thing, we have Watkins to talk about his pure excitement, the pros and the cons. Talk to us, Watkins.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, we had AEW Dynamite on the other night. Last night, obviously. And you know what? I did my coverage kind of in like a pros and cons list. So overall, I thought Dynamite was all right. There were some good things, some bad things. I'm going to start with the good things. First of all, the Gun Club came out to challenge the Hurt Syndicate for a tag title match. Nice to see the Gun Club out. They had a good back and forth where it ended with with MVP being like, all right, you guys came out here, challenged us and all that, great, awesome, fantastic, but next week we're going to prove that you guys are just a bunch of ass boys. So kind of plays into the history that they have with their own dad who's in the company, which I don't think Billy Gunn's been on the show in months now. I forgot what happened to him, but again, it's just nice to see them and all that. And again, seeing the Hurt Syndicate out here with their new titles and all that, just again, they're basically saying, hey, we're here to hurt people, blah blah blah, all that stuff. There was a good segment, I thought, with Hangman Adam Page, where he was backstage giving an interview and all that, and Max Caster ended up interrupting him, being like, "Hey, are you done yet? Like, this is my time. I want to talk to Renee now. I want to get my stuff off." But Hangman's like, "No. If you want to fight somebody, if you want to get beaten down, if you want somebody to go to the hospital, I'll be the one to do that. But like, it wasn't that part that really got me intrigued. It's the fact that like Hangman's kind of doubling down on what happened between him and Christopher Daniels during their Texas death match and all that, where Renee does point out, she says, hey, last week when Christopher Daniels came out and said, hey, I have to be on the shelf now, like my career is over, Heyman again, he doubles down. He's just like, you know what, no, there was no regret in my mind, there was no regret in my soul. I fully believe that I did what was right. He signed up for the Texas Death Match, so he's kind of throwing the blame on Christopher Daniels now, being like, look, dude, you signed up for the match. It's not my fault that you can't wrestle anymore. Again, you are the one that signed up for it. Like, I didn't force you to do anything. But yeah, he ends up chasing Max Caster. I guess they're going to have a match eventually. It'll probably be on Collision, whatever. Cool, neat, awesome. Another pro, though, was this match between the Hounds of Hell and Takeshita and Fletcher. Now, I saw this on paper, and immediately in my mind, I'm like, okay, this match seems like it's a lose-lose situation, because on one hand, you have the Hounds of Hell, you have Buddy Matthews and Brody King, who just broke off from Malachi Black. So they're trying to do their own thing, be their own people, fine, cool, whatever, neat. So they're basically a new team, if you think about that, or like at least a new package, so to say. And they're facing off against Takeshita, who's the international champion, and Kyle Fletcher, who, he had a recent heel turn like a couple months ago. But they have a big, huge match against Okada and Ospreay, so they really can't be in a tag match losing right now. So it's like, okay, well, obviously the Hounds of Hell are losing. But you also have Buddy Matthews now, who, after last night, we find out that he is going to be challenging Okada at Grand Slam for the Continental title. So it's like, okay, he can't really lose right now because he's about to face Okada for a title. So he kind of has to look strong, unless, like what happens in the match, Okada's music hits and kind of distracts Buddy. Now, it doesn't lead directly to the end of the match, but it's fine. It's whatever. It's a quick distraction, but they're still able to do stuff and all that. But so yeah, the only person that can really take the fall here is Brody King. So you're already kind of going to the match thinking, okay, I know who's going to win, and I kind of know who's going to take the pin. What about the rest of this match? And the rest of the match was really good. Like, a lot of good action between all four guys and all that. And, I mean, that's just par for the course when it comes with AEW. But, man, especially this match. Like, it was near the end of the match where, like, they, who was it? Buddy Matthews and Brody King had Kyle Fletcher in the corner. And they did, like, this big, like, cannonball dropkick double team maneuver into the corner and all that. And so Brody goes for the cover, and then Takeshita does this big old what was it? He did a senton. Yeah, he did a senton onto Buddy, and then onto Brody, sorry, and drop kicked Buddy outside of the ring and all that. And it kind of started leading to the end of the match where they both did a bunch of double team moves, an assisted brainbuster onto Brody King. It was really good. It was really cool. But yeah, I mean, the match itself I thought was good, and I think that kind of made up for the booking of it. Because again, Takeshita and Fletcher, they can't be losing right now going into Grand Slam to face Okada and Ospreay. So cool, neat, awesome. They won, and yeah, Buddy still kind of looks strong going into his match against Okada. And then the last pro I want to point out is Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet. This match was really good. Now, Ricochet didn't really do his entrance. He just attacked Swerve with a steel chair at the beginning of the match while he was doing his entrance. So, you know what? Hey, cool, neat. That was a good way to start the match. And the match itself, like, I mean, Ricochet was on top for the most part of it. And, I mean, both guys looked good. There was this nasty, gnarly power bomb from Swerve. Like, it was a good counter that Swerve did to Ricochet, where he power bombed him. Like, they were both standing on like on top of the barricade, and Ricochet kind of went up to do like a Hurricane Rana, but Strickland held on to him. Like, mind you, they're still like balanced on the barricade, and he just power bombs him like right down the middle on the barricade. Dude, it was gnarly as hell. Yeah. See, Vash, like you're already going like, oh, what? Ugh, like it like hit him like spine just on the barricade.
And
dude.
Chad, just hearing that right now just even hurts my head or even aches my body because right now I have lower back issues right now. Just hurting. I probably did a bad movement
dude.
or also me been working on the past 4 days. Your boy Vash right here has been consistent in behind the scenes work, and it's probably me just been sitting a lot, probably crouching my back bad. So right now, like my back is putting on string. I'm here pushing through. So just hearing that, like, damn, brought him to the barricade, smack down the middle, like shit. Once I felt, I'm like, yo, I'm good. I give up. I'm out. My back hurts. I'm done for the night.
Yep. And here's the thing too. Ricochet actually wins this match too. Like,
Oof.
first of all, yeah, dude. And at first I thought it was relatively clean, but I had to go back because like, so he kicks out of Swerve's finisher at first, earlier in the match. Cool, neat, whatever, fine. But so Swerve goes for it again. He goes for the Swerve stomp again, but like Ricochet like tries to block, like almost like he's trying to flinch a little bit, and his arms are like up enough to where Swerve kind of lands like on his man parts and all that onto Ricochet, and so he's basically taken out, and Ricochet sees it. He's like, oh wait, I like in it, like you could see the gears turning in his head, like, oh wait, oh that was a low blow. Oh, you're down. Spear gun, bam. 1, 2, 3, I win. So like, not only does this give a big win for Ricochet, but now we can get a rematch down the line. So
I would like to
I'm
see
excited
that.
for the rematch.
I definitely need to see the replay because it sounds like a good match to definitely check in. And I'm a big Ricochet fan. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of Swerve either. I am interested in Swerve to see more of his career. But I haven't seen too much to be like, yeah, go Swerve. So both the match sounds amazing to see, and I've heard what he's done with the previous year with Adam Page and with the other people he has gotten entangled with. So can't wait to see what he does for the rest of the year because it sounds like a good match.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like if there was one match I could say to check out from Dynamite, it would be Ricochet and Swerve. I just thought it was a really good one. And don't worry, Drop. I'm gonna mention the Mercedes puppet because you know what? Screw it. The Mercedes puppet gets a good honorable mention for my pros section because you know what, Harley Cameron, at least you're trying. I approve of. I will always applaud trying with material and all that. But a good transition now to our cons section. Now I say cons, but really a lot of this stuff was just kind of yeah, okay. So the night started with um Switchblade Jay White. He's out there, like he's outside the arena getting a promo from Renee Paquette. And in comes the Death Riders, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna beat you up." But luckily for Jay, he's actually a smart babyface. He came with a group as well, and they kind of ambush the Death Riders. So a big brawl starts off. But like the reason this is kind of in the con section or like the meh section is after the brawl, you have Adam Copeland. Well, excuse me, Cope. Which
I was saying wrong name. It's not Edge. It's not Adam Copeland. It's Cope.
Well, see. Here's the thing with that, though, dude. Jay White was doing that as he was talking. Like, he kept saying Adam Copeland instead of Cope. So it's like, even the people in AEW can't get Cope over because I think they're so used to either saying Adam Copeland or Edge.
Now they gotta deal with Cope. But it just sucks that, look, I saw a quick side tangent involving this conversation about names. When it comes to AEW, they have like five people that call Adam. They have 5 people that's called like Jay. They have 5 people that are like there's no identification, no identity being also separate from the character and story. And they did the most easiest from Edge to Adam Copeland, not to Cope. It's like, yo, you just went from reverse. Like you went from full name to
Yeah.
back to a single name, but you couldn't go to Edge or the Radar Superstar because that's a taken copyrighted. So you gotta go to
Mhm.
Cope. Like there's nothing better in the boardroom. Like really, but okay,
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah, but like the real reason that this is kind of a con though is the fact that like you have Adam Copeland. I'm just gonna fucking keep saying Adam Copeland because fuck Cope. He gets on the mic and just like John, like he basically calls out John Moxley for the AEW title, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's where the story seems to be leading. Cool, neat, awesome. But then you have Jay White, who also kind of calls him out, and who's also kind of gunning for uh John Moxley and the AEW title. And basically he ends up just asking for a tag team match against him and uh Claudio. And I'm just sitting there like, wait, but I thought weren't you trying to get to John Moxley and the AEW title? Like why are you relegating yourself to a tag team match, Like why don't you try to go after um John Moxley and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, this has potential to be a main event, and this might be a way for them to maybe give a quote unquote hometown boy a hometown win. Because I don't know how many of the people, the Australians that they have on the card, I don't know how many of them are going to be winning. So that's neither here nor there with that. Yeah, so that was basically that segment. That again, a lot of things are just meh in this section, except for this one. So Will Ospreay, he was scheduled to face somebody from the Don Callis family, and we're left to think, okay, who could this be? Who could be this mysterious new member of the Don Callis family? Turns out to be Mark Davis. Now, to put that in perspective, because Vash, I'm assuming you don't know who Mark Davis is, correct?
Nope, that name do not sound familiar.
That is A-okay. So imagine, if you will, if Jimmy and Jey Uso, let's say, when they split up and all that, Jimmy stayed with the bloodline and Jey, he went off to do his own thing and all that. But like, let's say Jey didn't appear on TV for like a week or two or like 3. So just imagine that, okay? Now imagine when he comes back, Paul Heyman's just like, okay, let's see. Okay, Cody, you have to face, the new member of the bloodline, Jey Uso. And it's like, wait, why is Jey back? Why is he aligned with the bloodline? Didn't he have a falling out? Wait, what's going on? Why is this? And like, it's one thing if like it is an actual heel turn. It's like, okay, fine. How are we playing on this? But like commentary kept trying to tell a story of like, okay, Mark Davis was forced to do this, like, because you have Don Callis on commentary saying, okay, I basically told Mark Davis, hey, you need to come to work and you need to do this because I technically own the tag team that you were part of with Kyle Fletcher. But you need to come to work, and if you want to work, you need to do what I say and all that. So they're trying to like force that kind of story, like, oh, we're forcing this guy to do this. But then the guy, Mark Davis, he wrestles the match as a complete heel. So like you're sat there wondering, okay, are you a heel? Like, is this a heel turn? Or because like commentary is also trying to pull the story of like, okay, he's not a heel. He's being forced to do this. But, I mean, I saw the match. He didn't seem like he was forced to do anything. Like, I don't know. Hearing that story, Vash, how do you think? Does that make any sense to you at all?
Nope. When it comes to AW product, I do not understand them
Yeah.
at times. Sometimes I feel like I'm watching not say like a sketch, because that's kind of rule when it comes to what they're trying to produce in a maybe like $20,000 event,
Yeah.
spending, production, maybe roughly slightly more in what they're doing in counting the talent. It's disappointing. So it's hard to understand what like I saw clips online of just her just doing the same walk and everything, and I'm so confused.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then after the match, freaking Omega comes out, and this is just another thing I have an issue with AEW. A lot of the promos seem like they're just saying the same thing over and over again within the same promo. So like, Omega comes out, he's just like, yeah, at Grand Slam we're gonna be defeating you, and then like he'll say a couple other lines, and then he'll come back and be like, and at Grand Slam we're gonna defeat you. It's like, okay, well, you just said that. Why are you saying it literally again in the same promo?
At times, I feel
But,
like they're
you know.
trying to. I feel like they're trying to prolong the promo. They're like
Yeah.
they repeat it because they're trying to make it longer. So instead of being like a 30-second promo, it has to be like a minute 25 or a minute 20. And I'm like, why was this needed?
Mhm.
You could have cut that shit way
Yeah.
shorter and still made it impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that match, that segment, I'm just like, I fine. Again, great match and all that. It's just the Mark Davis thing. I'm just like, okay, what are we doing here?
The who
Like,
again?
What is Mark Davis? Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. That was just a weird. That was
Yeah,
a weird.
I saw people pop
change
for
for
that,
me.
and I questioned why.
Yeah, like again, like the match itself was fine. It's just the reasoning behind it, and like I was telling Vash, it's like commentary was trying to pull over the story of like, okay, he's being forced to do this, but he's wrestling the match like he's not being forced to do this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's just
the
confusing and
actions
all that.
the actions did not line up with what was being said in commentary. It was really falling
Yeah.
short. But talk to us, Walkers. What else fell short in this episode of AEW?
I hate Mercedes money. I'm sorry. I do not like her. I've never liked Mercedes.
You sure? Because if you love her so
Like,
much, she will be at a Hog Wrestling event next month in March. So if you want to have the big poster and have her on the podcast and we could interview her as a one-on-one, we could do
y'all
that.
can do that. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
understood.
good. Y'all
You
can
heard it
do
here,
that.
Chad. We're going to go to
Um,
Hog Wrestling and interview her over there.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed the Mercedes puppet a lot more than Mercedes money. But see, this is another thing that like confuses me, especially with like the production work, because like again, commentary is just like, okay, here's Renee Paquette who's backstage with Harley Cameron. We cut to Renee and she's like, "Thank you guys. I'm here waiting for Mercedes to come out because I want to interview her." I'm just like, wait, hold on. Commentary said you were there with Harley Cameron to interview her. What are you talking about that you're there to interview Mercedes? And then out comes Harley Cameron, with her puppet and all that. I'm like,
No.
okay, you know what? You're trying, Harley. I can appreciate trying. Just
Yeah, it just
have the match.
it's just unfortunate because that's just another body. I don't want to
Yeah.
phrase it like that, but it's just another name to put in the books for her title run.
Yeah, like,
So
and that's all it's gonna be. Like if
Yeah.
it gets
only because Harley's
booked for
from
a Grand
Australia.
Slam.
That's all.
Exactly. It's the same thing that happened when we went to Clash of the Castle with
Mhm.
Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
Mhm.
But at least they won.
Yeah.
Like I don't see Harley Cameron beating Mercedes at all.
No.
So yeah, that segment again was just meh. But again, I think what saved the segment a little bit for me was when Harley's she took the puppet off and Mercedes walked away, and she just flicks her off, and and Renee just like grabs her hand, just like, no, stop it. She's like trying to like pull at it a little bit. I don't know. That did get a little chuckle out of me. So yes, I do appreciate that. Last two segments here. This one was really quick. Samoa Joe and Hook beat down the patriarchy again, and Christian Cage was just another little shit, just in another room with freaking Nick Wayne's mom too. Like that dude's mom just left him there to
Yes, he
die. Like that was just crazy. He's like, Christian just walks into the room. He's just like, "Oh my god, guys, what happened? Are you guys okay?" It's like, dude, you know exactly what happened, man. But this last one,
The MJF, yo, may I just say this? He has to be also speaking shade to the own company as well when he said AEW is not for all elderly wrestling is for all elite. And I'm like, you must be
Yeah.
speaking shade to all the people that you keep hiring that are all that, because MJF speak up then, because this is opposed to the Orton. They're like, oh yo, I love Daniel Bryan, Edge, all these people. I'm glad they have an opportunity, but why are we burying the other younger talent that should be going over?
Yeah. Like, oh my god, this segment was just, it was not good. Like, it was cheap heat from MJF, who's way better than just cheap heat.
Yeah.
It was broken up twice by, we're doing this standoff with him and Hangman Adam Page. I'm assuming whenever we get that match, that's gonna be Hangman's big face turn again.
Has to be,
Which, okay, cool, neat. You beat down MJF, whose stock is horribly down now. But not only that, like, now we're setting up a match. Well, we're still setting up whatever's going to happen with him and Jeff Jarrett. So, okay, cool with that. But then now we had Dustin Rhodes come out, and we set up a match for him and Dustin for next Tuesday, apparently, in Texas. And it's like, okay, the promo segment was fine because, like, hey, Dustin, you have a good way, just like the rest of your family, you have a good way of, like, making me want to root for you, want me to, back you up and all that. But
Both
it's like,
family's good at promo.
yeah, but it's just like, I don't want to see MJF versus Dustin Rhodes.
No.
I just don't.
There's no story there, and it's like, cool, you guys don't wrestle. Is the story's gonna be that you guys wrestle, but there's no like meaning. There's like, what the stakes? What is MJF defending?
Yeah.
That no elderly people should be fighting in wrestling, but there's a company that Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes started a couple years ago together with the Young Bucks and everyone else. So MJF, like, that's questionable. And when it comes to this, is like, I'm not even excited for it, and I like both characters. And MJF, like, you could have done better in this promo, but a lot of people, fans, I saw on the timeline, was saying that he was phoning in, which I was a bit confused in the aspect of where that goes, because I don't see that or read that too much. But depends. Like, Watkins, you as an MJF fan that's been seeing, do you think he was phoning in?
Yeah, there was times where I could feel like he was just kind of saying the words, but like there was no feeling behind it and all that. And I mean, I see what they're going with the story here, where it's like, okay, MJF, he's still like this, he's still, this young hothead and all that, and now he's starting to pick on these older talents that are there, and like Dustin, he's trying to pull off this whole thing where it's like, okay, I'm basically the last cowboy. I'm the last of my kind. I'm, the last old person here that you have to get through and all that stuff. It's just like, okay, you say that, but I mean, there's still you, there's Jarrett, there's Jericho, Edge, Christian. Like, I know they're not as old, but they are getting up there, So
There's
it's like,
one of them that is too slow to look even old
Dustin.
or acting.
Yeah. So it's like, I get what you're getting at with here, Dustin, but I'm good. I'm good off of you and an MJF program and all that. But like, that was basically Dynamite. Again, it was kind of a mess show, but I mean, mess show is better than hot absolute garbage. So that was your AEW aspect of everything. So I'm gonna move over to our NXT guy to tell us how NXT was this week.
I appreciate you guys checking out this little AEW continuing covers the debacle that's been going on in Dynamite. Hopefully, you guys let us know down in the comment section if you guys been enjoying this. But let's talk about the other product, that might be bigger in ratings or views than AEW. NXT, I didn't get the chance to fully watch it, so I'm not going to have much thoughts. What I saw is going to be my reaction towards what Drop speaks about. So talk to us, Drop. What was the highlights, the best things of NXT this past week?
So I'm just going to be going over like the things that really stood out, and then I'll give a general idea of where I'm expecting things to go. So when it comes to Lexis King, he's the Heritage Cup champion there currently right now, so a lot of people are questioning what his next move is. So then you have him cutting a promo, talking, as he normally does. I don't want to dive into exactly everything he says because we don't need to. But this was another way of showcasing the WWE and TNA partnership, where we had JDC, who is known as himself in TNA, but for fans that are familiar with this character, that he was known in WWE as Fandango. So Fandango comes into the ring, and it seems like they're setting up a program between him and JDC. So that's pretty cool to see. So it's good to see that WWE and TNA partnership. The main event was A-Town Down Under versus Obafemi and Trick Williams. And when it comes to this match itself, we had Trick Williams. He's been on this whole spiral ever since he lost the NXT title to Obafemi. And within this match itself, you had Eddie Thorpe come out of nowhere.
Oh, sure.
I'm not entirely sure why they keep pushing Eddie Thorpe. I mean, he already had his ass handed to him, Rick. And he already had his ass handed to him during that NXT title match, and then he had another title match with Obafemi, and he lost that one. So I don't really know what they're doing with this whole entire Eddie Thorpe situation. It's almost like that thorn on your side that just never goes away.
I think they should drop trying to push him in the main title run. I think they should put him in the NXT North American title and have him push through there and see where they could go. Because right now in the main title run, not a lot of people like him. Like you, myself, a few others, the fans. Nobody's interested in this run of Eddie Thorpe. So I think they should push him back down in the mid card. And I feel like that's where build him slowly. Don't force it because it's not going well.
I mean, the whole thing behind him is that he's not really benefiting doing whatever, mid-card, this, that. He's not really doing anything that really stands out. And the main problem with this is that when it comes to main event talent on NXT, it's very staggering right now. Because like I mentioned before in past shows, when Mello, Braun, and Ilya Dragunov got called up to the main roster, that was a pretty big hit on their end. So compared to their women's division, they have a lot of names there, but their men's division, as of this moment, they only have Trick and Oba. I mean, that's all they really have in that picture that they're really pushing to put in main caliber events. So that's something that they really need to figure out. But because of what happened with Thorpe, Trick ended up getting, I think it was Austin Theory who ended up pinning Trick. So he ended up getting the win in that.
Oh, shit.
And that was when, I believe that was also when Obafemi just walked off, and then you had that whole thing happen with Eddie Thorpe again. And I personally feel like this is probably leading into a match with Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams, possibly at Vengeance Day, because he came in there for strap, so I would assume it's going to be a strap match between him and Trick Williams at Vengeance Day. So, I mean, there you go with that. Stephanie Becker.
Do you think Eddie Thorpe is going to go over?
No, doesn't really make any
sense.
So
Trick is gonna go over and still have Eddie Thorpe buried, right?
Oh yeah, Trick's gonna go over. It's just one of those things. You got somebody come in and try to start shit. You beat them, and they end up doing the exact same thing again. So Trick's more than likely gonna go over in that match. We had Stephanie Becker go up against one of the girls from Fatal Influence. Obviously, this is just to give Stephanie Becker more momentum heading into her match at Fallon Henley at Vengeance Day. So Stephanie gets the victory in this. You had Julia, Roxanne, and Bayley confront each other. So this was just the three of them in the ring talking. And one of the things that I was picturing in my head did happen within this event itself, where you had Roxanne bragging about breaking Bayley's record, which does tie into their story because this is all about building the future. Bayley said herself that she wants to work with Roxanne. We could possibly get a match with them at WrestleMania. I feel like that would be a pretty good moment for Roxanne.
It would
a WrestleMania
match
with one of the four horsewomen. So we had the three of them in there, just pretty much setting up that match with the three of them, that triple threat next week at Vengeance Day. And you had Julia come out there saying, "Roxanne, what are you without a title?" And then she goes up to Bayley and says that she'll beat her. So what I do predict to happen in this match is like the obvious, of course, is that Julia is going to go over. And I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if she pins Bayley. I mean, that's another big name under her belt that you could do something special with Julia. Like, you just look at her accolades. Oh, I pinned one of the horsewomen. So That's how I expect that match to go down. You might want to keep Roxanne protected for a little bit, especially if the reports that we saw throughout the week, that I'll just throw in right here, that they do have some big plans for Roxanne in the future, especially when you give her an accolade like that, with her being the longest woman in a women's Royal Rumble.
It's
So
well
obviously
deserved.
they
I agree.
have things for her, but then you also had Charlotte make an appearance because,
And how did that go?
well, it's basically just one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, I won the Royal Rumble, so I have the option to go to Raw, NXT, or SmackDown. And they obviously just play those cards because that's just how it is. It's not one of those things where people are like, oh, well, if you're a part of the SmackDown brand, you can only defend for that title. No, it's never been like that. You have the option to go towards whatever champion you want. And this was probably a callback to what Charlotte did when she originally won the Royal Rumble back in 2020.
Agreed. Yep.
Where she went to NXT when Rhea Ripley was champion, and she ended up challenging Rhea Ripley for the NXT title at that WrestleMania that one year, which I didn't understand. That was just like really weird the way that they did that.
Yeah.
Would it be a way to showcase Rhea Ripley? Sure, but at the same time, it's like Charlotte could be going after whoever was champion around that time on the main roster, and I personally wasn't a fan of that. It just seemed really out of left field. But she pretty much came out here. She gave Roxanne her flowers, said that she was impressed of her. Obviously, if you could tell based off the body language that Charlotte was showing us on SmackDown, not SmackDown, on Raw, you could get the idea, which, shocker, she is going to be a heel when we enter this program with Tiffany Stratton. So obviously, giving Roxanne her flowers as the heel because of what she accomplished within that match itself is pretty big, knowing how Charlotte's a pretty big name in the division. So getting a shout out from Charlotte, again, just adds more to the amount of stock that they have into Roxanne. And she didn't say anything bad to Bayley. She actually said to Bayley, I feel like this is a good time to do this, which is obviously the 4 horsewoman hand sign. So that's what she said to Bayley. And then she was giving props to Julia and stuff, but then again, she ends in saying that she's better. And then obviously we'll see Charlotte on SmackDown tomorrow when we do our post-coverage show to see exactly how that transpires. We had Kalani Jordan versus Carmen. And this right here is just adding more into the heel turn. With Kalani Jordan, it's been teased for quite some time now. And I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if this eventually takes off, maybe around Vengeance Day, sometime this month, just to add something new to her character, because she's always been like a baby face with her time on NXT. So adding a little character change to her would be pretty cool, because when Roxanne turned heel at first, there's a lot of people that were skeptical behind it because she always seemed like this super nice girl, but ended up working out in her favor and actually ended up benefiting her a lot more than her face turn. So this could easily be one of those situations with Kalani. Not saying that Kalani is on the same level as Roxanne. She, of course, could potentially get there, depend on how things go throughout these next couple years. But this is something that I'm definitely have no issues with when it comes to a heel turn with them. And then we also had this report that came out about Ava portraying this final boss kind of character on NXT. And my whole thought process behind that is, I feel like, since she is the manager of NXT, I feel like she already is the final person to make the decisions on there. But I guess she's going to have like a more prominent role when it comes to her really putting her foot down in situations, which she has been doing a lot recently, because even when she was backstage of Trick, she was giving Trick some shit because Trick was complaining about a lot of stuff that's been going on lately, and she was even getting into his face. So, I mean, I'm not against it. It already seems like she's doing that, but I mean, if you want to just add more flair to what's going on with Ava, then that's fine. But yeah, those are my overall thought process on what's currently going on into NXT. We got the Go Home show for Vengeance Day next week, and obviously the week after that we'll talk about the coverage of that.
Oh yeah, can't wait for us to get into Vengeance Day. That's something that we're pretty excited to get into. And when it comes to Ava being the NXT big bad, the final boss makes sense. I wonder if they're gonna put little pin on it, like this was always a family plan when it comes to The Rock. I wonder if they're gonna connect the thread or any storylines with that, since we saw The Rock back a couple weeks ago on NXT. So I wonder if that is going to be a connection to it. So I wonder how it's going to be the execution. That's what matters. Since Ava used to be a wrestler, now she's not. Now she's more in the behind the scenes. Probably that's what she prefers. And girl's been doing a good job. But
yeah, no notes. So
yeah.
Except for that hiccup. Oh my god.
Well, sometimes when you have a hiccup, you gotta talk about the hottest topic for you to get your breath back in. How does that work? Well, for this topic, we have tonight is, do they deserve the push? That is the title. Do they deserve the push? You know what that means? Like Jey Uso, like Swerve, any of the big wrestlers that are now, could they have been bigger back then if things were different? We're going to have the discussion, because it is the bigger discussion piece for the episode, where we dive deeper into the news in the content for tonight's show, is what wrestler deserves the push? Who gets pushed? More so, the type of stars should get pushed and why they deserve it will be our first conversation. And where did this stem from? Audience, chat, boys and girls and children of all ages, while we're talking about this, because Jey Uso won the men's Royal Rumble of 2025. And a lot of the audience was kind of like, in the timeline, we're like, why the fuck did he win? Why did he win when we had John Cena for a world tour, when we had CM Punk that could have won and gone straight to get the main event like he's been saying and promoting? Or why couldn't it be Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and all these other superstars? Why couldn't it be LA Knight? Why is it? But we got Jey Uso. Well, chat, we're just going to build up more of the conversation. One thing I want to say is, if you've been rooting for somebody like Jey, who has gone so over the audience, even this past Monday, that you saw that he became the men's Royal Rumble, when in a lifetime, in the past 20, 30, 40 years of pro wrestling, have you heard a superstar get asked to him encore? That's the thing that still baffles me. I'm flabbergasted that they even asked Jey Uso for an encore when it comes to his music, when it comes to his showmanship, then it comes to entertainment. We literally had him the previous week of Monday Night Raw after he lost to Gunther in the Saturday Night Main Event. After he lost, we had a whole concert of a 10-minute concert of him coming out with a song and yeeting and just telling us, the audience, that he's entering the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble. That's all. That 10-minute segment was only a yeet concert, and that. Can you really tell anybody that truly could be this over to entertain a whole audience for 10 minutes just by the song and just by saying a single catchphrase and yeeting and having the commentaries even laugh within themselves and just entertaining what's going on? That's when it tells over. Even, for example, Bad Blood or Basher Berlin, when he wasn't scheduled for those shows, and we even had posters, audience outside with, during the kickoff show, during the pre-show and everything, even yeeting the audience, the signs, everything. He's so over that when he's not even scheduled, he is popular. He's over. So imagine once we get him as champion this year, it will be going bonkers. He's top merch seller. So that's insane. But I spoke enough about the first part that I want to bring up. Watkins, having the thoughts about this part, like who should get pushed and why should they?
I mean, I'm gonna try my best not to kind of mix up a bunch of our points here with it, because like there's a lot of things that kind of go into who should get pushed, who shouldn't get pushed, and all that stuff. But like, really, the way I always see it is like it should always be somebody who has put in a lot of the work and all that, and whether that's work inside the ring, work outside the ring. If you've proven, like, because that's the thing, it's like years ago there was this whole idea of like the glass ceiling. You got to break the glass ceiling, got to grab that brass ring and all that stuff. It's like, I get that aspect, because again, you got to pay your dues, you got to do you basically got to trudge through mud in order to get the glory that is like that gold championship and all that. But like, yeah, to me, it really should be the people who put in that work. I mean, we see so many talents put in great promo work, great in-ring work too, but also great work outside of the ring and outside of WWE and all that, trying to push themselves as well. And like back in the past, especially in WWE, people got punished for that. I mean, the one that comes to mind right now is Zack Ryder. Like that guy was hella over just because of
Woo,
like the
woo,
internet
woo.
stuff he was putting up. Yeah, exactly. And he got punished for getting over on himself. Another one that comes to mind is Rusev with the whole idea of Rusev Day. Like that was so over for a point that I don't see how WWE and how Vince didn't capitalize on that sooner. And they just squandered it. They ended up breaking up the team after almost like a few months after finally letting it do its thing. But yeah, it really, it's the people that put in all this work and all that. And I mean, you could make an argument like, oh, this person puts more work in than the other person, but like it's the thing with pro wrestling is like it's an ever changing business, and the people who are on top are always ever changing. I mean, again, just look at Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is the prime example. Like just 10 years ago, you would not think of Cody Rhodes being on the level that he is right now,
Nope.
and yet
Oh.
look at him now.
Or even
because
Jey
he
Uso.
put in that work. Or even Jey Uso too. Like 10 years ago, he was barely getting a pop when he entered a Royal Rumble, but now
He had no
he's
pop.
controlling it. Yeah, he's controlling that audience and all that. So really, I mean, that's really my answer to that question. It's the people who put in that work.
Now, drop. As somebody who's been pushing through, and you have fans like Lyra, you be rooting for the people that you grow attachment to when it comes to them putting the work and everything. So I really want to hear your perspective on this. Like, who should get the push? Like, what type of stars and why do they deserve it? What's your metric?
It's basically one of those situations where it's like the people that work hard to get to where they need to be, rather it being connected to like a family name or somebody you just want to put in the spotlight just because you wanted to do that. Because like Watkins said, a lot of the people back then were only put into the spotlight because Vince only wanted certain eyes on certain wrestlers. I'll give a couple of examples. You have like John Cena. Vince wanted the eyes on him. Vince wanted the eyes on Batista. Vince wanted the eyes on Edge, Randy Orton, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan. The list goes on and on. I mean, we just did a video a couple months ago talking about the Vince documentary when it came to how the company was evolving over time, and they really relied on Hulk Hogan because he was the guy that was really pushing for the company. And that's just something that we have to look at nowadays, where it's like it can't always be that. Like the people that actually come out there and actually do something that actually make a difference and the fans get behind it, those people deserve to be in the spotlight. And yes, Jey Uso does fall into that category when it comes to that family legacy. But when it comes to him, he deserves to be in the spotlight because there's a lot of times where people got into situations like this where they just glossed over it or they built it up in a weird way, like almost like how Brian was all those years ago. Brian was very over with the company, and I remember that one Royal Rumble, a lot of people were expecting him to be in it and win it to get put into the position that he was later on in that year. There was a lot of things that it was a very similar situation with the whole Cody Rhodes, we want Cody Rhodes thing, where it's like they were put in a situation where they had to pivot to get on the right direction when it came to what happened at WrestleMania 30 that year. They had when they had to put Daniel Bryan in that whole adversity angle to get where it needs to be. I like how this time they actually gave the Rumble to Jay, so he has that big moment, because whenever you win a Rumble or whenever you win a Money in the Bank, that's your golden ticket to like big success in the future. That's what creates like a key player for years on end. Like
100%.
you got Tiffany Stratton, won Money in the Bank. She's a women's champion. She's going into WrestleMania this isn't confirmed yet, but we know it's going to be confirmed. But she's in a program of a future Hall of Famer and one of the girls that really led women's wrestling to be where it was. So it's that one simple thing that really brings you where you need to be. And with the Jay situation, you got to strike when the iron's hot, because like I mentioned, sometimes they miss. And I'm actually glad that they ventured down this route, and also because it wasn't a predictable Rumble. And that's basically like my stance on here, because I'm all for the younger generation of talent. That's why I watch NXT every week, because I like seeing where these guys go and where these guys are now. Like, look at Seth Rollins, for example. I remember him in NXT. Look at him now. He's one of the top stars in the company. He's getting loads of fucking money thrown at him. He's in these top tier programs of Hall of Famers. Roman Reigns is another example. He was a part of like the Florida wrestling thing all those years ago. So I like the whole ride of seeing where these people go, and that's basically like my overall thought process on that.
No, great opinions about this, because like we are fans. How we first started, that's a big reason why we did Weebs the Ring, because we wanted to talk about it in an analytic way, criticize it, and talk about it from the bottom of our heart. But there's also that fandom inside of us that we could talk about, because I want to ask now, what are the metrics that us fans can use to get to want our favorites to get pushed? Could be popularity, could be the in-ring work, or could be them doing the work, long to it, putting them clock in and clock out. For example, as somebody who got back into wrestling a couple years ago, I like my characters like Damian Priest. I like Jey Uso. I've been a fan of Jey Uso since back in the day. Not saying I was crazy for him, but not getting back in, seeing the story of the bloodline, and Roman Reigns. He has said it in his documentary. He has said it in some interviews that we have seen, that when he eats, he's the type of person that he wants everyone around him to eat. And Jey Uso, he's eating well. He literally went from the bloodline story to now where he is. He's becoming main event Jey Uso as WrestleMania main event Jey Uso. That's such a big opportunity. As a Yeet fan, there's times, if you look at back for the old PLE's coverage, there's been times where Gunther versus Jay, or Jay versus somebody, and I'm like, I know who's gonna lose, but I'm gonna still vote for Jay. I said proudly, as a fan, I say Yeet all the time.
Yeah.
I was a Yeet fan, and just to see Jay win, I was genuinely happy. So that's, to me, when even Jay, during his promo on this past Monday Raw, he said it. He put the work, he did the stuff. Even during when he was booked by Vince, or when he was getting no pop, he didn't give up. People that love the job they do, or the dream they're doing, if they believe that they could accomplish something just because they believe or got told, that they have the work if they have the possibility. And Jay believed that. He probably got told that he's part of the family. Rikishi, his father, he's part of this, and now doing the work. Day one Us. That's beautiful to see. A superstar that you grew up and see, like John Cena. I was a fan of him, and to see where his career is, to me, longitude works, because sometimes you could have that caveat, like he said in his promo this past weekend. He's been a part of the company for 23 years. This is the least they could offer him, and that to me is a beautiful and fucking solid line. Any part of you like, yeah, I work, slaved my ass, and did this 30 years, 20 years, 15 years for you. This is the least I could do, and if that to me is like, that's a cherry on top. Popularity is a work thing, but I know the guys have LA Knight to discuss. We have other people to bring up, but Watkins, who is your example? What is your metric to bring up? Because I've spoken enough about Jey Uso, John Cena. I also did mention LA Knight last. So who's your person? What's your metric?
I mean, obviously popularity is a big one, because like you want your audience to be behind whoever you're pushing. So it's like, yeah, you want your LA Knights to be on there. Penta right now is getting really great receptions, and his popularity is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And luckily for him too, he has the other part in here that we mentioned, the ring work capability. Because like, yeah, it's great to be popular and all that, but you gotta at least be able to move in the ring. And I think that's one complaint I've seen a lot about like the Jey Uso thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he's very popular, but he can only do like 3 or 4 moves. It's like, You know what? I get that because, Mania 40 with him versus Jimmy was not the best match of that year.
But he's been
But it's
improving
like,
since then. Like his matches
yeah.
with Gunther, his matches with other people,
He
and
hit it
we've
Poison
seen
Rana during
pictures.
Rumble.
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly,
Like he's,
and for the pictures
yeah.
we've seen him at the gym, so he's putting the work.
Yeah. So like he is trying to get better and all that stuff and adding to his repertoire and all that. And but like the longevity thing, this kind of goes with like what I was saying with people who have been there a long time. So like the biggest example of that is Kofi Kingston with the whole Kofi Mania thing. Because
Yeah.
the whole big thing with that was the fact that he had been around in the company for about 11 years at the time and never got a WWE title shot one on one. And so when he finally got it,
Did
when he
Biggie
was
get one
finally able
first,
to,
or did Kofi get one first?
This is Kofi.
Kofi got it first.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with Big E, I mean, I think he had a chance at one point. But I mean, shortly after that, he won Money in the Bank too. So it's like we're throwing him that bone too. But like, it meant a lot for Kofi too, because like he went through a couple gimmick changes too, and all like severe gimmick changes too. You went from being Jamaican to being part of the New Day, so that's neither here nor there with that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of it is definitely popularity because like you want people talking about your star, you want people to like get behind them, especially if they're a babyface. Like another great example was just a year ago with the hashtag We Want Cody.
Mhm.
Like
Perfect example. Yeah,
just
the audience
that,
spoke.
yeah.
Like literally a hashtag over a weekend from Friday night to
Yeah.
Monday evening. So
But
many
no-
things changed.
Like just to add like something a little on top of that too, just to add
Oh,
to
yeah.
your point. You had somebody like Cody Rhodes getting their name put above The Rock. That's pretty crazy to
Yep.
think about in itself because The Rock is considered like the most successful person that came out of WWE, and the fact that you have somebody like Cody Rhodes getting more leverage over him, and that's somebody that a lot of people cheer no matter whenever he comes out. Rock's always getting pops. Rock's always
Mhm.
bringing in views, money for them. But the fact that Cody was able to overcome that speaks volumes. And the company even had to
Yeah.
pivot from what they were doing that year just to pay off that story, which I'm glad they did, and they made a smart decision. But yeah, throw it back to you. Just
Yeah.
wanted to add that on there.
Oh yeah, no, and I mean, I'm gonna kind of tie in our last part of it too, because like with popularity comes the whole presentation too, because that is also a big factor. Earlier tonight we had talked about Def Rebel and their music and all that. I mean, the music is the big part of it because like you want to be excited when they come out and all that, but like you also want to be, you want to get behind them, especially with how they get booked, to win matches or lose
Yeah.
matches or anything. Like you want to be behind somebody who's presented well. So like I'm gonna bring up Penta again right now. Like again, I know he's only had like 3 or 4 singles matches on TV, but I mean already his presentation's been pretty big. He's winning these matches, he's looking good, he's having this promo time, and
Mhm.
just this past Monday he got beaten down too. So like he's starting to show like the little cracks in his armor too.
Yeah.
The big one, Roman Reigns, like we saw for years how he was presented as this big top guy, but it wasn't until they made the heel turn, where it was just like, okay, finally we get to see a different aspect of Roman. And that just skyrocketed his
It did.
character to the point where he was on the run of his career for about 4 years.
It was truly
You know,
insane
so,
of the
yeah.
pickup of what a presentation can do. Drop before we get into the whole presentation aspect. Drop any thoughts on how you feel your superstar as a fan? Is it popularity? Is the in-ring work or the longevity? Like, how do you feel about this topic? Like, what is it that you feel as a fan works the best? Because popularity. We got LA Knight, who went from a good coming in from a whole switch character from NXT to then SmackDown. He skyrocketed from point A to point C, and then he fought Roman Reigns for the title even at one point.
Yeah, and that even helped enhance him too. But like the whole idea like behind like the metrics for me. I mean, popularity definitely plays a part. That's why LA Knight's so over. That's why he always gets a reaction. I don't care as much as people say it deflated. It has not. LA Knight
not.
still gets reactions from the crowd whenever he's out there. So he's a very loved individual. And when it comes to like the whole in-ring work, like obviously storytelling plays a big role when it comes to matches as well, because yes, we're used to the whole face-to-face promos and everything else surrounding that when it comes to building a story behind a match. But there's also stories that play as well within the ring itself. When it comes to Penta, I'll bring up Penta again, actually, when he came to the story that he was telling.
He's the prime example tonight.
When it came to him selling that knee during his first match that he had with Gable. That's telling a story right there. Oh shit, he's not doing so well because he's selling this whole leg injury within the match itself. So that makes something pop in your head where it's like, oh, maybe he's not going to be able to overcome this. Maybe he's going to meet a roadblock. So there's stuff like that to factor in as well. But of course, you know, people love in-ring chemistry between two other wrestlers, three other wrestlers, whoever the case may be, to just get that extra flavor with it. That's pretty much like the cherry on top when it comes along with it. And for me personally, like, it doesn't have to be like a whole bunch of flashy moves. As long as you're able to be on perfect footing with whoever you're working with, you can match up really well with them. Kind of like how Cody and Seth was when Cody first came into the company back in 2022 at WrestleMania when he made that debut. That's another thing to bring up too. Making your return to the company on WrestleMania, which is considered one of their biggest shows throughout the year. That just shows, that's another thing that falls into our next category when it comes to the overall presentation.
Yep.
But like that's my whole thought process. And then of course we might as well just dive into that now because like I got a lot of
I would say my big highlight when it comes to presentation is my two core things is the music, because if you have no music to really attract you, you fall flat. Even during the PFC, like I said, jokes around during our coverage for tonight, Royal Rumble, PFC, it was Shayna Baszler and a few other people. It fell flat when it came to the entrances. The gear, it looked like our girl Shayna Baszler wasn't even gear ready. That's number 3 for me. But the booking is the most important, because remember, guys, we had a beautiful vignette or like video package for our guy. You guys may have forgotten. I know Watkins may have forgotten, but his name is Giovanni Vinci. One of the most guys that's going to be a hitters in SmackDown. But guess what? He fell flat because of damn booking. He got hit in 3 or 6 seconds, I believe. Knocked down from Apollo Crews and I believe somebody else in a match. So it just falls flat in the booking. When you have somebody such return 3 weeks forward with video package, vignettes, and then he couldn't lose the booking. You bury him so right away, and when the music is not good, to me it falls flat. Gear to me is like the bottom tier, not because it's not important, but look, guys, we have John Cena wrestling in shorts, and he did it still. This man did it in jorts, and somehow he still what he did. We have another year with this man with his type of gear. So if this man could do what he can, you need just good wrestling moves, good gear. I mean, good booking and good music. And to me, that's at least you starting off point right. But Watkins, you spoke about it earlier about Def Rebel. What else is to you the presentation?
I mean, again, you know, some of the gear, like, I mean, you look at some of the luchadors, like some of their masks and all that. Like, Rey Mysterio has probably one of the most iconic masks out there in pro wrestling and all that.
And now next is Penta.
You had just mentioned John Cena and jorts. I mean, there's something that's kind of iconic with him as well.
AJ Styles and the
yeah,
gloves.
it's just. Oh my
Yes.
god! Like, yeah, AJ Styles and his gloves and all that. Like, yeah, it's just like little things like that, and like, yeah, presentation, even like presenting the match too, and all that. Like, I mean, you just mentioned AJ Styles. He mentioned in an interview. This was like years ago. Like, the biggest thing with pro wrestling is like the little things, and that's why like ever since he said that, like I always try to pay attention to like the little things in a match, like oh, this person is grabbing for the rope just so slightly, or like hell, just saying that it reminds me of like I think it was like Mania 32, Mania 32 or 33. It was one of those. I think it was 32. It was where Kevin Owens was facing Chris Jericho for the U.S. title, and Jericho had Kevin Owens beat, like pinned in the ring, but Kevin grabbed the rope, but he didn't grab the rope. He grabbed it with like a finger. So like he grabbed the rope with his one finger, and like just that right there is beautiful storytelling, you know. And say what you want about AEW with like all their constant kickouts and all that, but when it's done right, it is done fantastical. One of my favorite matches.
It has you on your
I
toes.
believe it was 2023 Forbidden Door 2 with Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. When Will Ospreay hit Kenny Omega with his own damn finisher with the damn one-winged angel, and Kenny Omega kicked out at 2. Not at 2. Sorry, he kicked out at 1. Like he kicked out at 1 and started like hitting the mat like, yes, you cannot beat me with my own damn move. You're not gonna do that. It's like it's presentation like that just it gets you hyped, and it gets you like raring to go, gets you like wanting to back somebody like Kenny Omega up, because again, like when it's done right, it is just chef's kiss perfection, you know. And like that has a big thing to do with presentation. It's all about like how you put the ring together and how you put the story together and all that. And I kind of want to reference a tweet we had earlier from Swerve Strickland, where he actually made a comment, because like, you know, this has been a hot topic throughout the whole week from people, but he made a comment about how it's both just in and outside of the ring. You need both things in order to be a good pro wrestler, in order to like put on a good product. And it's
One
that's
complements the
really,
other beautifully.
yeah, exactly. Like you need both of them, and in order to get big push, you need to be good at both of them. You know, that's why like CM Punk finally got his push. That's why Roman Reigns, when he was able to turn heel, he got the biggest push of the century.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Drew McIntyre, when he came back, was able to do both really well. Like the list can go on and on and on and on and on, but like presentation is really the biggest part of getting the push, you know. And just in recent history, again with Jey Uso, his presentation, the way he connects with the crowd and all that is so big, and like it's the reason that he won the Royal Rumble. It's the reason he's getting this push right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
The drop.
that's basically my thing, yeah, with the whole presentation aspect of it.
So drop. Help us, the genius of the man, end off the show with your perspective on presentation when it comes to a superstar. What is it that cues them up for you?
Probably would have to be like good music. You can hit that note and you'll recognize them right away, like an AJ Styles, like John Cena. When you hear Cult of Personality, you think of CM Punk. Things like that, even Swerve Strickland with his theme song. Edge, which is his theme song, is considered one of the most iconic themes in wrestling. Music definitely plays a good part when it comes to presentation. Gear would probably have to be at the bottom of the barrel to me, because sure, when you're making like a grand entrance, always having that iconic gear or whatever the case may be is something that factors in. But definitely like the next thing after music would have to be the booking, because you got to have some good booking behind some people, because that's why we come on here and be like, oh, that guy will be fine because he's bulletproof now. Roman Reigns, the way that he's been built, he's bulletproof. He loses a match, he'll be fine. Same with Seth Rollins. Same with Cody Rhodes. Same with Rey Mysterio. Same with Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Looking at the ladies, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. It's people that fall along the lines of that. You got to have some good booking behind them. That way people have a chance to believe in them. You can't just have somebody making their debut and they lose to like a roll up, or they just get their ass handed to them and then a month later they start getting momentum again. Because casual fans that attend these shows, they just go there to watch the product. They're not going to care when these people come out if they constantly lose all the time. So it's like you got to make sure that you're playing your cards right, because when you're on NXT, you can do whatever you want over there.
Experiment, have fun.
But if it's like on the main roster, that's your sink or swim. You got that one chance to make it good first impression, and that's not including the three of us. That's just people that are there attending the shows, having those crowd reactions throughout the shows. That's something where you gotta like really play your cards right, so you could help elevate their presentation on the main roster. Because with Penta, you saw him have good these past 3 matches. He went over in those matches, he won, but with the angle that they set up, you see a little cracks in the armor, like Watkins says, because now you're putting him in a situation where it's like, okay, he's not always standing tall. Now he has an obstacle to overcome. It's things that fall along those lines.
Agreed. Like that gives a beautiful reason of like when the character we see should go over, they put the work in, and audience. You guys heard it here from our take, our perspective of what it could be when somebody gets pushed or deserves it. So we also want you to hear you guys your opinions, your thoughts down below in the comment section, because usually our next and final segment will be the viewers and audience Q&A and final thoughts. But since in tonight's show we didn't have a lot of questions or a lot of chat, we appreciate for everyone that's been lurking in, supporting the show. But we could transition to the outro, because there will always be time for another episode like this, another hot topic with new questions, new variations when it comes to the future, because there will always be this type of conversation. There will always be a match that somebody will say, oh, this guy should have not won the Money in the Bank or the next year Royal Rumble. So we'll come back on round 2 or round 3 or round 4 when it comes to this question. So chat, we know we will come back and say, hey, this was a better conversation last time. We will have a round 3 battle. But chat, before we get to the outro and say our goodbyes, I want to give you quick plugs and tell you where should you follow us. As you see down below in the lower third, you see the main company. We are under the branch of the umbrella of Animal We 3 Studio. We are the side channel of Weebs of the Ring, but then we have the new podcast that you guys are watching right now called Grappling with the Week. A big shout out to Walkers with the coming with a beautiful name that we are grappling with the beautiful stories that are coming out of pro wrestling world. And we appreciate you guys supporting this. This is our 3rd episode, 4th episode next week. We're live every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. EST. And additionally, guys, you should check out every Weebs of the Ring that we're live every Mondays and Fridays. And maybe stay tuned for our Twitch stuff that is PLE's coverage, aka, maybe Elimination Chamber, possibly. We also have the next thing that we also do is Monday Night Raw. I was about to say Monday Night SmackDown, but that sounded so weird. Monday Night Raw, where myself and Walkers are live every at 7:50, 8 p.m. for Netflix Monday Night Raw. So definitely stay tuned with us. And every Mondays and Friday coverage at 11 p.m. or when the show ends. I'll just tell you guys, when the show ends, we're live. Just go on YouTube. Go check out YouTube. The stream is always active. Other than that, go follow us on social media. Go follow Watkins and Drop personal YouTube channels where they also have content coming out every week. Other than that, guys, we appreciate you for following us and supporting our content and checking us out. And other than that, I don't got much to say, because by the time I end the show, never mind, perfect timing, we have here Drop. So other than that, Chad, I have stalled long enough. You guys have been supportive and checking us out. We see you in the next one. It's time for the outro. Thank you for listening to Grappling with the Week. Before we head out, as always, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We are known as Weebs of the Ring on all platforms. Be sure to also use the hashtag that's down below, Weebs of the Ring, to interact with us before, during, or after our show. Feedback is always appreciated. We're nothing without you. Tuning in. Grappling with the Week is presented by Animal We 3 Studio and Weebs of the Ring. Thank you for our production team and for your hard work. Thank you for joining us, and shout out to Stu for helping us with the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everyone. We see you on Friday.
You guys have a good night.